Hello, welcome back to Author's Note. There's been a big increase in the amount of commodities being shipped around the world over the past decade or so, led especially by a big increase in iron ore shipments to China. And China has also become the world's biggest shipbuilder in the process. But recently, supply has got into a mismatch with demand, and there's been a glut of shipping on the world market and a precipitous fall in shipping rates, leaving a lot of shipbuilders with oversupply and facing dire straits in the future. Now, here to discuss this with me is Dinesh Sharma, who is a senior consultant at Drewry Maritime Advisors. Dinesh, thanks very much for joining us today.
Welcome.
We've got a couple of charts to look at. The first shows us shipbuilding activity in the world. We can see that China, since about 2008 or 9, has taken the lead in the world. This is shipping in consolidated gross tonnage, standard measure of shipbuilding activity. What's behind that? Why has China gone so far ahead than the other shipbuilding nations?
There's been a huge demand for commodities in China in the past decade, firstly led by shipbuilding itself. Shipbuilding has grown tremendously in the past decade. A lot of this meant that a huge demand for steel, and this production of the steel was kept local in China, which meant imports of huge quantities of iron ore from places like Australia, India, Brazil and South Africa.
And that's China building ships, all kinds of ships, or commodities shipping ships, bulk ships?
Primarily dry bulk ships, but yes, China is building all types of ships. It is currently the largest capacity for dry bulk ships is in China.
Okay. Now, let's have a look at what's the impact that this has had on prices. Here we have the Baltic Exchange Dry Index, again another standard measure of shipping rates. Now, behind this, we've had, as we said, this big increase in the amount of commodities being shipped. And recently, the last year or so, that's fallen off as we've had China's economy slowing down from its rapid rates of increase. But there hasn't been a drop in the amount being shipped that mirrors this huge fall, nor indeed the huge build-up that we saw in the Baltic Dry Index from 2006 up to when it slumped in 2008. Why is there this mismatch between prices and the amount being shipped?
The relentless growth in shipbuilding activity in China meant imports of large quantities of iron ore. What happened was there wasn't enough capacity to carry this iron ore from places as far as Brazil. So huge growth in the freight rates that is being carried simply because there isn't enough ships to carry this trade. Supply has been trailing demand over the past decade. Right. What happened in 2008, late in 2008, was there was a collapse in commodities being carried because of the global financial crisis.
Sure.
Dry bulk trade declined and continued to decline in 2009. So you can see a huge drop in freight rates.
But the drop in the amount of stuff being shipped wasn't as big as the fall in the rate. So what was happening with supply at that time?
Because there was this supply was trying to catch up historically with demand. Ships were being placed on order. It normally takes about 3 years to build the ships. So all the demand fell. There were ships still being coming into the market, ships being available, resulting in a huge oversupply situation. At the same time, demand has been weak in the past 2 to 3 years.
Right, and we've still got a huge order book in the industry, haven't we, of new ships coming online. Does that mean that the future is, I mean, you can see rates are down back to where they were historically 10 years ago. Does that mean falling rates forever, a glut in shipbuilding forever?
There's certainly an overcapacity on the shipping side, but what has also happened in the recent past is India used to be a key supplier of iron ore, accounting for nearly about 25% of iron ore imports in China as back as 2006. This has nearly come down to negligible amounts today. The demand in India itself is increasing. There have been export tariffs being imposed on exports of iron ore, and more recently mining of iron ore has completely stopped in India. There's a complete ban in key states in Karnataka, Orissa and in Goa. Right. So this, because it has shifted to a longer haul trade, this means a lot more capacity being required to carry this trade.
Right. Dinesh, okay, thanks very much. So a lot in the hands of India. Whether India resumes its exports, maybe supply will no longer be in such excess, but otherwise pretty bleak outlook for shipbuilders.